starting to get into the more wine segment part of it, I'm going to teach you a little bit how to taste wine properly. Now, the first thing you want to do when you get the wine is you want to swirl it, because it's been sitting in either stainless steel or oak, and then the bottom on top of that for a while. So what you have to do is you have to get some air into it so you'll be able to smell all the notes in the wine. When smelling wine itself, 85% of the taste comes through your nose, believe it or not. So what you want to do is you want to swirl it, smell it, and then slurp it. What I mean by, if you've ever seen, and I am a sommelier, if you've ever seen us taste wine, what we do is we slurp it like we're slurping soup. So in your first taste, I want you to try it regularly. Probably. And I want you to look like, almost like you're slurping a hot cup of coffee or some soup along those lines. This way it gets a little bit of the air in there, and then on top of that, it hits all your taste buds rather than going right down the middle. The next wine that we're going to have is the Bonzi Verticchio. Verticchio is a region, it's actually a central region right inside Italy. And this is a different wine for this time of year. What you're going to taste is a little bit of lemon, believe it or not, walnut, and a little bit of mint. It's going to be a little bit more on the bitter side. So you might have a little more acidity from the last wine, but it'll help cleanse those taste buds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you, or I'm going to tell you a couple stories of things that has happened to me. So the more that we drink, the funnier it'll be. Well, thank you very much.
Todd, what region is that from? What? The wine, what region? Central region, okay. So I was going to say, I got a map. I got props now. Okay, so the course that we paired with this, in the book, the trout almondine was mentioned. Trout, to me, is a little boring, so we went a little bit different. What I did is we did Arctic char. Arctic char is actually, as its name, comes from the Arctic region, the North Atlantic, very, very cold waters, swims very deep, but it's very much like a salmon. But it doesn't necessarily taste like salmon. It's kind of a cross between a salmon and a trout. It does start like in alpine lakes and streams, and then it starts in fresh water, but then it actually goes out and makes its way out to the ocean, where it spends most of its life. It does not come back and spawn like salmon, but it does lay its eggs and stuff in the ocean. Well, it makes its way back a little bit, but it's not 100% spawning like salmon do. But they also have a diet very similar to salmon, and that's what gives Arctic char its color. So as you can see, it's kind of a really nice, beautiful kind of salmon color. Now there's something called ruby red trout, which is about the same color, but that's just totally a trout. This is a different breed all on its own. Like I said, trout to me is kind of boring, especially nowadays. Most trout you get is farm raised. This is wild caught. It's absolutely really fresh. We just got in the other day, and I'm not a big fish guy, but this is one of the fishes I really do enjoy. So I think you guys are really going to like it. And what almondine means is it's a French style cooking, and they usually do it with trout or sole or flounder. And what they do is they actually brown butter. They actually take whole pounds of butter, put it into a pan, and let it cook down until it starts to melt. And then when it melts, the milk solids separate from the water. The milk solids sink to the bottom, and they actually burn. And when they burn, they actually color the butter, and they actually flavor the butter. And it gives it kind of almost like a real nutty smell. So actually what they do is I got some brown butter right here. We're going to heat that up. We're going to add some almonds to it. Kind of toast the almonds a little bit of fresh herbs, a little bit of lemon juice. And we're going to serve that on top of, classically with, what it goes with is French green beans, also known as haricot vert. Has anybody not had haricot vert? A lot of you have had haricot vert? Okay, if you never had it, it's okay. But I guarantee you, I'm going to spoil you for green beans for the rest of your life. Because once you have these, you're not going to go back to regular green beans. I can't stand green beans, but I'll eat these by the pound. I mean, they're fantastic. You find them a lot more now. Nino's, Papa Joe's. My wife and I get ours from Costco, and they're actually a really, it's a decent buy at Costco. You know, at Costco they got that big refrigerator room with all the produce. They're right in there. And like I said, a lot of people say, ooh, Michigan green beans or green beans out of the garden. These are better. I'm telling you. So we're going to go start with the char. A lot of you, all the people that have been here before, have see how I like to season. I like to season everything up kind of high. And I am using what we call rosemary salt, which we do make here. It's actually fresh rosemary that we chop up. We actually add a little bit of lemon zest to it. And then salt, and then fresh ground pepper. So we're going to kind of season the fish liberally. And like I said, I like to do it up kind of high because then I get like a good even dispersal instead of getting like really close and just getting one part of the fish salty. Did you do that with your pork?
I didn't do it.
But you didn't need a lot of salt with it though. You just need a little bit because of the prosciutto.
But I did not know why.
How many have cast iron skillets at home? You get it from your grandparents?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Parents, grandparents? They're fantastic. It's one of the best ways, I think, to cook fish because fish will have a tendency to cook if you don't get your pan hot enough. So obviously, cast iron should hold its heat pretty well. Like I said, I like to do pretty much all my fish in these hot pans. Also, we're going to use a little bit of blended oil. Whenever I cook anything over a really, really high heat, I like to use blended oil. It's 25% extra virgin, 75% canola. So you get a little bit of that good kind of earthiness of the extra virgin, but the canola oil can withstand a really high temperature. And you'll see what I mean by high temperature. Basically, we want to get these pans smoking. So there's a couple of key things that will help keep your fish from sticking. High pan, hot pan, season your fish, and you should be okay. Now watch it stick and make a fool out of myself.
We do ladies first. Sorry.
What's that? See? So as we can see, some of our pans are starting to smoke. As you can see, I kind of move it around and it sticks, but don't do that. Once you get it on the pan, don't move it. Don't see if it will stick. Trust me, because if you start moving around, that's when you're going to run into trouble. And just kind of a good idea. Make sure your pot of boiling water is not splashing onto your hot oil. That could be a good time. Are you running for the fire extinguisher with my hair on fire?
Alice,
Yes.
why does that not always have skin on it?
What's that?
Why does that always have skin on it?
There's no skin on these. That's what the skin was, but it's not on there. So what we're going to do now is actually we're going to take this opportunity now to kind of season the back of the fish. We've seasoned the front pretty well, so we're just going to kind of go nice and light. I know I'm kind of going the French route with this fish, but like if you are interested or you really do enjoy this fish, great ways to do it in the summertime. You can grill it, you can saute it kind of like we're doing here. Also, it goes great with a lot of citrus, tangerines. There is a recipe out there, I know it's on the internet, where it's tangerine glaze, but a lot of citrus goes really, really well with this. We're just going to go ahead and pop these in the oven. We're going to finish them in the oven. If you notice, I didn't even flip the fish. We're just going to pretty much just kind of cook it on one side, give it a nice kind of crust. And we'll let the heat from the oven just kind of cook the rest of the fish. And while these are cooking, we're going to go ahead and go on with the rest of our everything else. So with our beans and our sauce. So we're going to take a little bit of our brown butter. Like I said, this is just butter that's been cooked down, and then the milk solids sink to the bottom and burn, and they actually color the butter. We're going to turn the heat on that. We got our almonds here. A little bit of lemon, the lemon juice. And then we're going to add some fresh herbs to this as well. The fresh herbs I have is a mixture of rosemary, parsley, and thyme. Traditionally, almondine just gets fresh parsley, but I like to add a little extra to it. Besides that, thyme is one of my favorites. So, a little bit of butter for the beans. I did say once the fresh culinary I do like my butter. Sorry, Dr. Margolis. I know my cholesterol is high, but there's some things he just needs to do. These beans have been part cooked already. Basically, I just got a pot of boiling water, added salted it very heavily so it tastes kind of like the sea or the ocean. Brought it up to a hard boil. Put the beans in there. General rule of thumb is as soon as the water comes back to a boil, so when you add in the beans, it stops boiling. When it comes back to a boil, that's when it's a good time to kind of pull it. If you're going to serve them later on, or if you're going to serve them chilled for like inside a salad or something, shock it, which means put it into an ice bath, ice water. We're going to add a little bit of garlic to this. Turn this off. We're not going to forget about our fish. Try your beans. Pretty good. Now we're going to put our almonds in the butter. Just to kind of toast them a little bit. Like I said, this brown butter is actually going to be the sauce. Fresh herbs. Because the butter is hot, it's essentially, at this point, it's essentially hot oil. Just be careful that you don't burn your almonds. And also, it is going to foam up a little bit when you add in those fresh herbs. Those fresh herbs have a lot of water in it, so it will foam up. That's perfectly normal. And it might splatter a little bit when you add a little bit of fresh lemon, because obviously, as we saw earlier, water and oil don't mix. Now you're going to be tempted to go ahead and try this, like get a little spoonful. Just keep in mind, it is hot oil. It's a lot hotter than water. And I forgot my taste notes, even though I said don't taste it. Ash, you need some spoons when you get changed. A little heavy on the lemon. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to put our plate, put our beans down. Take our fish out of the oven. Follow the simple rules. Here, I'll flip it over so you guys can see what I'm talking about. No sticking whatsoever. And you just got that nice little crispy crust right out there on top. Now they're sticking to each other, not to the pan. I still got sauce. I got it is always, for the most part, it's always wild, so it's always going to be nice and fresh. You don't have to worry about that whole farm-raised thing. I just like the look of this fish better. I like the color of it. Just trout is sometimes just so kind of brown. Okay, we're just going to hit it with a little bit of the sauce. which is nice and healthy, just all butter. It's got lemon juice in it. It's got nuts in it. Sauces will go. A lot of times, sometimes if you do go to like a real French restaurant, they might not have the fish on the menu, but they will have green beans on the menu, which are essentially the same thing. Brown butter, almonds, and then the green beans. As far as sauces go, this is probably as simple as the French get. Here's a little food trivia for you. Does anybody know why the French are so really big? The heavy, thick, rich sauces? Doritos? What's the answer? That's it. The meat was so awful, so rotten, because they got all the leftovers, they got all the scraps from the wealthy. So they had to do something to kind of cover up and mask that rotten, nasty flavor. So that's why they saw it. That's why the French sauces are so rich and heavy. That's why this is kind of odd, because it's really a very simple thing. It's just butter.